And now this animation starts at frame 10. So we want to go into our code on frame 1 and make the help button, the F help click, go to and play frame 10 instead of frame 30. That's fine. Shrink that up. And let's just test that to have a look at it. Help comes in. Everything looks peachy keen. Great. Okay. Now, one thing that we probably want to take care of is, you don't notice it because you can't see my cursor, but in this time, on the timeline here that I'm just highlighting, where you have the help screen cover up the background screen, those two buttons, help and play, are still working in the background, in the start screen movie clip, in the start screen layer. So what we can do is, right at the point where those are covered up and gone, we can just enter a blank keyframe there, and then leave that area blank until we want them back. We'll probably want to have a roll out animation as well, which we'll do in a minute, so I won't move, the buttons are back here at frame 50, and I won't move them right back to frame 30. Right now, we'll leave them where they are at 50. Let's do that rollout animation now because it's fairly easy. What we're going to want is, this takes 20 seconds from frame 10 to frame 30 to roll in. Let's give it just 15 seconds, so from 30 to 45 to roll out. Insert a new keyframe at 45, and when we hit the OK button, we want this thing to roll off to the other side of the screen, let's say. And just make sure it gets off, but try and keep it still at 0. If you look down here, it's gone down to minus 1.5. We'll just keep that at 0, and somewhere way off to the left. And we want to do something slightly more clever. We'll make that a motion tween, so right click, motion tween, great. And we'll extend the OK button also out to 45. We'll want to adjust that in a second. But let's have the OK button stay still until here and make it look like the help screen grabs it. So insert a keyframe there, and then we'll make a motion tween after that point. Create motion tween, and take the OK button at frame 45 where this tween is going to end, and just move it back onto the edge of the help screen. So it looks like the button is sitting there and the help screen grabs it and drags it off with it. That looks great. Let's make both of these ease in. Let's actually not make the OK button ease in because the background screen is already in motion, but we'll click on the tween for the help screen down in the properties and we'll ease it in. So it'll slowly start to go out and then grab the OK button with it. Okay, that looks a little bit funny, it's not grabbing the OK button, so let's click on that tween and give it an ease in as well and see if that fits a little bit better. Wow, good enough. Let the designers worry about details like that. At least you sort of see how that works in general. Now, when we get to the point where the help screen has moved off of the position where the play and help buttons are, which is right about here, we'll just drag that back. What I'm dragging now is the keyframe that has the help and play buttons in it, and we'll drag it back to about here at about 40 where they're visible. So it looks like they are there the whole time, even though they're not. Clever, eh? So we don't have them sitting back there working so that people cannot click on those while they can't see them, but it doesn't look like we're taking them off the screen because we do it when they're covered up. That's great. The next thing we're going to want to work on is the game screen. So let's have a quick look at how we're going to do that. Okay, we'll start the game screen on its own layer here. Let's just go out. There's nothing happening now at 50 in the timeline. So let's make a new keyframe on the game screen layer where we're going to start making the game screen. And we see that our start screen and our buttons exist out there. and that's fine, but for right now we don't want them in our way, so we'll just click on the eyeball over on the left hand side there, make them invisible, and make sure we're on the stage on the game screen layer, and start off by making another movie clip. Symbol, movie clip, MC game screen. Let's use a capital in there, just so that we capitalize every word except the first, just so we don't have to wonder about whether or not we capitalized something. Start off with the same old rectangle, make sure it's at 0 by 0, and make it the size 550 by 400, the size of our stage. Yellow is pretty intense. We're going to want this to be a subtler color. It's going to be the background of our game. So let's select tool, select that object, color tab, gradient again. Those are always fun. And let's pick something. Yellow is fine, but we want it to be pretty dark. So the first one a really dark yellow, the next one also a kind of a dark washed out yellow. We can adjust the alphas here, but because there's nothing behind it, that's not really a good idea. So we'll just leave it like that, maybe darken this side up just a bit more so it's more low key. Maybe make it a bit more of a pure yellow color. There, that's fine. Once again, grab the gradient transform tool, spin that around, keep things looking fairly consistent, and of course, everybody's favorite logo. Throw that in there. This time let's do something a little bit different with it, make it really huge. Make sure you grab the logo, come here logo, and use the transform tool, not the gradient transform tool. Make it nice and big and nice and long, and drag it downish. Sure, maybe not quite that big. There. And then we're going to use our color tint to make it really sort of subtle. We don't want it quite that dark, but we wanted a nice dark yellow. I don't see the yellow I want, so I'll use the color wheel here, go into the yellows, and get something really kind of dark and almost blackish, but with that yellow tint. Great. Give it a bit more tint. Sure. So once we have that background, let's actually make a playing board, and we'll go ahead and make that as another movie clip. Right click in the library, try and find an empty spot in the library, and yeah, it's not always easy to find an empty spot in the library. You can also click on the new symbol button, which is the bottom left one there, and we'll just call it the game board, MC game board, I guess, just to keep things all together. So this is the game board as opposed to the game screen, and we'll make it just a series of squares, make them a nice sort of a gray color, and you see that circle that pops up on the corner of the tool. If I drag it way out to the side, there's no circle. If I keep it here, the circle's nice and big. That means I'm making a square. I don't want 72.9. Let's do 80 instead. That'll be easier for doing any sort of math. Once we have one, we can just control copy and control paste. Make sure you're not using your square tool again. I'll just hit Control Z to undo that. Use the select tool and drag that up. The alignment rulers can help to line these up, but they're not always dependable. Let's just select those, go to our Align tab, align them vertically, and distribute them horizontally. That's fine. Actually, while I have the four of them selected again, I'll hit Control Copy to paste them, Control C to copy them, and Control V to paste them. Use the alignment rulers to drop those in line. Great. And I'm going to try a little experiment, select them all, and see what happens if I use distribute vertically. And that does something we don't want, so I'll just Control Z and go back to scene 1.